The Chicago Bears, they just hedged their bets. Now that I've got your attention, let's continue with the gambling reference. You can say that the Bears signed a player that allows them to play with house money moving forward. So the Chicago Bears just signed running back Demetric Felton. It's a really nice move, but it's not just about the player. Stay with me here because it's yet another example of how this front office is on top of absolutely everything. And in this case, they exploited a lower profile loophole in the NFL rules. So, what this move does, it not only provides another running back to compete, but it also gives the Bears yet another player with return ability. So you're looking at Demetric Felton. He averaged 23.5 yards on 26 kick returns in college. In the NFL, he made 39 punt returns for 6.9 yards average and 10 kick returns for an 18.3-yard average. And the new kick return rule, it just makes players a potential factor in who makes the team and who the return guys are. This rule just hits different. And the Bears could see Felton as a type of return man who could take advantage of the new kick alignment. And I'm going to go to this story here on Clocker Sports. It kind of talks through this a little bit. I always want to give credit. So you guys check out this story. So don't get it twisted. This signing is significant because reserve running backs Travis Homer, and Ian Wheeler, they were banged up during practice on Saturday. So this is an actual player that might really be needed. But let's just get to the fun part. He's on this Chicago Bears team with an absolutely free roster spot. So in conjunction with Felton's signing, the Bears created a roster spot by using one of the simplest tricks in the NFL rulebook. It's not a very high-profile rule at all, and it's taking advantage of something called the International Player Pathway Program. And it's actually kind of gaming the system a little bit. You just gotta love this. So basically, the Bears are getting a freebie, an extra roster spot, simply because new punter Tory Taylor is Australian. Yeah, that's right. So yet another benefit from this pick because Taylor, he's just lighting it up in training camp. So this international roster exception, it allows the Bears to get even more roster flexibility. Grab a player like Felton, add him to the 90-player roster, and not even have to cut anyone. And here's the thing, too. This is significant. I'm going to close down the story. You guys check it out if you will. So this is a really significant thing, and bear with me here. The NFL is so competitive that it's not just big moves that dictate records and team chemistry. It's the little things, a little advantage here. There's a sleight of hand here. It's little things like this that balance the scales. And personally, I just love the sneakiness to this. It's not the first time the Bears have done this. Last year, they grabbed Roy Mbeteka during the summer and stashed him on the practice squad as the 17th player. Poles is always working to find a tiny advantage. And here's a continuation of that rule. And I'm just going to read directly from the rule. Beginning in 2024, each of the 32 NFL clubs is eligible to fill a 17th roster spot on its practice squad, reserved for an international player. A participating club is permitted to elevate its international practice squad player to its active roster a minimum of 3 times throughout the season, increasing the flexibility for clubs to leverage the additional player while creating more opportunity to play. So each club will also receive one training camp roster exemption for a qualifying player. Clubs may choose to sign players identified through the NFL's IPP program or can choose to independently scout for international talent. So you guys know the rule. The Bears are exploiting this loophole. It not only gives credence to the fact that Poles is always working, it also just gives us that little edge, and I really like this. So enough about that. It's a really cool rule loophole. Let's just talk about Felton. So he's a former 6th-round pick by the Cleveland Browns in 2021. 8 rushes for 20 yards, 20 receptions for 89 yards, 2 touchdowns in 24 games between 21 and 22. So it's not like huge stats from this guy, but he also brings return experience to the table. He's returned 39 punts for 269 yards and 10 kickoffs for 183 yards. Last year, he was waived by the Browns at the end of August, and then he was signed by the Bengals to the practice squad. And to be fair, Felton, regardless of the stats, and we'll get into who he was as a college player, that really tells more of the type of player that the Bears are getting. He's just a player that can provide some punch. And he's your typical undersized scat back or third down back, right? 5'9, 185 pounds, 8 rushes for 20 yards in his 2 seasons. I've talked about this, but he fits the versatile tag that seems to be the Bears moniker. And having that mantra, having that moniker, it's a really great thing. And talking about Felton when he came out of UCLA in 2021, there was actually plenty of discussion about whether he was actually a running back or a wide receiver. I mean, the Browns played him at the hybrid type of position. He lined up as both at times. When he went to the Bengals, he became only a running back. But he had in college 1,101 yards rushing with 7 touchdowns and 99 catches for 958 yards and 8 touchdowns while at UCLA. So that really, we're getting a really versatile player here. And also, the move also gives the Bears yet another player with return ability. And this might be what helps him to make the roster if it comes to that. Averaged 23 and a half yards on 26 kick returns in college. That's a really good average. In the NFL, he made 39 punt returns for a 6.9 yard average, 10 kick returns for an 18.3 yard average. So across the board, he is a pretty good return weapon. And the new kick return rule, as you know, just always a potential factor this year in the signing of a player who returns. I mean, the Bears could see Felton as the type of return man who can take the new kick alignment. In the event of an injury, he can pop in as a really versatile player, slide in at receiver if needed. And also he has the speed and the wiggle to actually be an effective running back, in my opinion. I watched him play a little bit in Cleveland. So we're kind of looking at the running back room, right? No chance of unseating a starter. You got DeAndre Swift, Khalil Herbert, Roschon Johnson. Those lead the Chicago running back room. Homer and Wheeler figured to be prime candidates for a good amount of preseason action. But if they're banged up, if it's a more significant injury, there's not really a big word on this. A guy like Felton, he could actually be a factor. And the Bears play the first preseason game this Thursday against Houston Texans. That's at the Pro Football Hall of Fame game. I can't wait. It's just a few days away. It's going to be really interesting. Look at the statuses of Homer. Look at the status of Wheeler heading into the contest. But I think if all lays right, it's not just a hedging of the bets. This actually might be a gamble that pays off because I think Felton's going to actually see the field. And that's a really big thing, especially if you're getting a player that's going to be a factor even in the preseason and it's a free roster spot. I mean, why not roll the dice? I'm just going to continue with gambling references this whole time. I don't know if that's a good look or not, but you guys, growing this channel since last year, it has been so much fun. You guys have been so loyal, and the discussion board is a lot of fun, especially when people are negative. It's actually kind of funny if you're creative. But you guys bear down. It's been a great offseason. Going to be an even better preseason and regular season, and there's so much to be thankful for. So much optimism. Bear down. I'll see you in the comments, and we'll talk soon. See ya.